Shavua Tov Rabotai, we're continuing with our Mishna Yomi Masechet Maaser Sheni. We're up to Perek Hey Mishnah Hey. Today's Mishnayot should be Leilun Nishmat Neria ben Svetlana Aranbai ben Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov Menuchatam began Eden Amen. In the previous Mishnah, we learned that we calculate the redemption price in a way that subtracts the owner's expenses from the value of the fruit. Today's Mishnah is going to teach us that there is a case which these expenses are not subtracted. Uba Shivi'it. However, if someone redeems reva'i produce that grew during the Shemitah year, podeo bishovyo, he redeems it for its full value and not according to the method we described in the previous Mishnah. And the Mefarshim explain, since it is forbidden to work a field or guard it during Shemitah, the owner of a reva'i tree does not have any expenses in that year. Therefore, he must redeem the fruit at full value, nor do people hire workers to pick for them in Shemitah. Rather, they pick the fruits for themselves. Now, since each person may pick only the small amount he needs for his own family, there is no need for him to hire workers to pick all the fruit in the orchard. Rather, he picks what he needs himself. Additionally, workers were reluctant to hire themselves out to pick Shemitah fruit because then their wages could become subject to the laws of Shemitah produce, which has many restrictions. Therefore, since he doesn't have any expenses in producing this fruit, he redeems it for its full value. The Mishnah now teaches about a case where even in an ordinary non-Shemitah year, we allow for only some expenses. If all the reva'i was ownerless, meaning the owner declared his reva'i trees ownerless and someone acquired them and wishes to redeem their fruit, the Mefarshim explain, the person who acquired the fruits must now either bring them to Yerushalayim or redeem them and bring the money to Yerushalayim. The Mishnah is teaching that the halacha of reva'i applies even to fruit acquired from hefker. If all the reva'i was ownerless, eno el eschar likita, he does not have a right to any reduction in the redemption price except for the cost of picking the fruit. The other work, however, was not done by him, so there's no reason to allow him any reduction for it. And Mefarshim explain, the Mishnah is speaking of a case in which the new owner acquired the trees when the fruit was ready to be picked, so that he did not have any expenses other than the picking. Now, a final ruling about redeeming reva'i. Hapodeh neta reva'i shelo mosif alav chamishito. Someone who redeems the produce of his own fourth-year tree must add a fifth to it, following the opinion of Bet Hillel in Mishnah number 3. Ben shehulo uben shenitan lo b'matana, whether the fruit was always his or whether it was given to him as a gift. And the Mefarshim explained the Mishnah is referring to fruit that was given as a gift while in a very early stage of its development, known as simadar, which is when the blossoms fall off and the little balls of fruit first become visible. At this stage, the underdeveloped fruit is not yet considered fruit and therefore does not yet have the sanctity of reva'i. Therefore, it is therefore still the owner's property and he may give it away as a gift. However, once the fruit passes this stage and grows to the point where it's considered a fruit, it becomes sanctified as reva'i and can no longer be given as a gift because the reva'i fruit is now considered the property of heaven, mamon gavoa, and not the owner's personal property. Now, although reva'i produce is the property of heaven, the so to speak owner of the produce must add a fifth when redeeming it, because the Torah considers it to be his with respect to the halacha of adding a fifth. However, he cannot transfer the ownership to someone else by giving it as a gift, since it's not actually his. And that is in Rabotai of Mishnah. Hey, Mishnah Vav now, from Mishnah Vav through the end of the Masechet of Maaser Sheni, the Mishnah discusses the laws of Biu Maaser, which is the removal of tithes, and Vidui Maaser, which is the Maaser confession. Often, the Mefarshim explain, a person would designate tithes and keep them for a while and only much later give them to their proper recipients, or in the case of Maaser Sheni, eat in Yerushalayim. The Torah fixes a deadline by which all the tithes must be removed from one's possession. The Torah speaks about it in Sefer Dvarim, chapter 14, pasuk 28, and chapter 26, pasuk 12. This removal is known as Bi'ul Maaser, or just Bi'ul. After Bi'ul is performed, the Torah commands the owner to make a statement called Vidui Maaser, the Maaser confession, in which he declares that he properly fulfilled the laws of tithing. This is discussed in Sefer Dvarim, chapter 26, psukim 12 to 15. The next four Mishnayot discuss Bi'ul, and Mishnayot 10 to 15 deal with the Vidui Maaser. And then that'll be the end of Masechet Maaser Sheni. B'ezrat Hashem will begin Masechet Chala. There are actually, now that Mefarshim explain, two forms of Bi'ul. Some tithes are removed from one's possession by giving them to their proper recipients, while others are removed through being destroyed either by burning them or throwing them into the sea, as the Rambam tells us in Maaser Sheni, chapter 11, Halacha 8. Our Mishnah states the latest time when biur must be performed and how the different tithes are to be removed. The Mishnah says, Erev Yom Tov HaRishon shel Pesach shel Revi'it v'shel Shvi'it haya biur. On Erev Pesach, the day before the first day of Pesach of the 4th and 7 years of the 7-year Shemitah cycle, the removal of the tithes was performed, meaning someone who has tithes in his possession must remove them before Pesach of the 4th year and before Pesach of the 7th year. On Erev Pesach of the 4th year, he removes the tithes remaining from the first 3 years of the Shemitah cycle, and on Erev Pesach of the 7th year, the Shemitah itself, he removes the tithes remaining from years 4 through 6. Now the Mefarshim explain, the Torah tells us that biur was to be done after 3 years in Sefer Dvarim, chapter 14, pasuk 28, which is understood to mean that the biur was required in every 4th year of the Shemitah cycle for the produce of years 1 through 3, and on every 7th year for the produce of years 4 through 6. Now, produce of the Shemitah year itself is not subject to tithing. We learn out from another pasuk that biur is performed during Pesach. Under biblical law, the Mefarshim explain, biur may be done anytime during the Chag, even shortly before the end of the last day, but the Chachamim moved up the deadline to the day before Pesach. The Mishnah continues, Ketzad haya biur, how was biur performed? Notnin tiruma u'trumat maaser lebe'alim. They would give tiruma and tirumat maaser to their owners, which is the Kohanim. The Mefarshim explain, after a Levi receives maaser rishon, he separates a tenth and gives that tenth to a Kohen. This tithe is called tirumat maaser. It's brought in Sefer Bamidbar, chapter 18, psukim 25 to 32. The Mishnah teaches here that not only must the original owner give his tiruma and maaser to the proper recipients before the deadline, but so must the Levi give his tirumat maaser to a Kohen, Maaser Rishon leBe'alav, and Maaser Rishon, the Mishnah says, to its owners, the Leviim, Maaser Ani leBe'alav, and Maaser Ani to its owners, the poor. The Mefarshim explain, one fulfills his obligation to Tiruma, Maaser, Tirumat, Maaser, Maaser Rishon, and Maaser Ani by giving them to the recipients. He doesn't destroy these tithes. The Kohen, Levi, and poor person who receives these portions may eat them after the biur deadline. Mishnah continues, Maaser Sheni v'Bikurim mitbarim b'chol makom. However, Maaser Sheni and Bikurim must be removed from every place, meaning they must be destroyed. They must be destroyed. And Mefarshim explain, what is Bikurim? We know, actually this week's Parsha, someone who grows any of the 7 species, wheat, barley, grapes, figs, pomegranates, olives, and dates, in Eretz Yisrael has to set aside the first fruits that begin to ripen each year, bring them to the Bet Mikdash and give them to a Kohen. The Torah speaks about it in Sefer Dvarim, this week's Parsha, chapter 26, psukim 1 to 11. These fruits are called bikurim, and the Mishnah says again, Maaser Sheni v'Bikurim mitbarim b'chol makom. Maaser Sheni and Bikurim must be removed from every place. They have to be destroyed. If there is not enough time to take Maaser Sheni and Bikurim to Yerushalayim and eat them there before the biur deadline, one has to destroy them. And the Mefarshim explain, the Torah says regarding biur in Sefer Dvarim, chapter 26, pasuk 13, Bi'erti hakodesh min habayit v'gam nitativ la'levi v'lager la'etom v'la'almana. I have removed the holy things from the house, and I've also given it to the Levi, to the convert, to the orphan, and to the widow. The psukim have 2 clauses here. I have removed the holy things, and I have given. The Chachamim learn that the first clause, I have removed the holy things, is referring to Maaser Sheni and Bikurim, which are called holy in Sefer Vayikra, chapter 27, pasuk 30, and chapter 19, pasuk 24. And the second clause, I have given, is referring to Tiruma, Maaser, Maaser Rishon, Maaser Sheni, and Maaser Ani. Therefore, Maaser Sheni and Bikurim must be, therefore Maaser Sheni and Bikurim must be removed, which in this context, the context means destroyed, while the other portions only have to be given to the required recipients. And the Mefarshim explain, when our Mishnah says that Maaser Sheni and Bikurim must be destroyed, it doesn't refer to food you're going to eat during the Chag. On the day before Pesach, a person estimates, he calculates how much Maaser Sheni, for example, he's going to eat on Pesach, sets that aside amount and destroys the rest. Now, although the Chachamim established the biur must be done on the day before Pesach, they made an exception for food that will be eaten on the Chag itself. The reason the Chachamim had the authority to do this is because min deoraita, we said under biblical law, biur does not have to be, the Maasrot do not have to be destroyed. The Torah does not require biur until the end of the Chag, like we said earlier. Now, the Mefarshim explain, according to Bet Hillel, Revai of the previous 3 years must also be destroyed at this time. The Mishnah continues, Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon says, Habikurim nitanim lakohen ki teruma, Bikurim are not destroyed, rather they are given to Kohanim just like teruma. And Varshim explained, Rabbi Shimon holds, since the Torah refers to Bikurim as teruma in Sefer Dvarim, chapter 12, pasuk 17, the laws of Bikurim are similar to those of teruma. Therefore, just as the biur of teruma is fulfilled by giving it to a Kohen and not by destroying it, so to the biur of Bikurim is fulfilled by giving them to a Kohen. The Mishnah now quotes a machloket, a dispute about a cooked food that contains both Maaser Sheni and Chulin, but the Maaser Sheni ingredients cannot be easily seen in it. And the Mefarshim explain, since the Maaser Sheni was cooked along with other ingredients, it's not easily noticeable. The Mishnah says that tafshil, if someone has a cooked food that contains some Maaser Sheni and he does not have enough time to take it to Yerushalayim and eat it there before the biur deadline, Bet Shammai Omrim, Bet Shammai say tzarich levaer, he must remove, which means destroy it, because it contains Maaser Sheni, which must be destroyed. Bet Hillel Omrim, but Bet Hillel say harehu kimvoar, we view the Maaser Sheni as though it was already removed, meaning since the Maaser Sheni cannot easily be seen in the cooked food, there is no need to destroy it. Rather, one may keep the cooked food and eat it in Yerushalayim even after the biur deadline. And that is an Abutai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.